Here we go. Hello, hello. A minute early, but that is okay. Can wait for people to get in here, but I'm going to kind of jump right in. So welcome back. If you were here last week, if you are new here, welcome to Little Fit Patriot channel. But this is the Discipline Diary. So if you've not heard or seen what we've already put out here, this is the second week. There's 2 videos a week, and it is on different layers of disability for your life. So first was motivation is a scam, how to really reset your mindset. The second week, which was this past week, was all fitness. I actually went into the gym, showed a lower body and an upper body workout, as well as part of my run, but a lot of talking to you as well. But I did showcase the workouts. And then today's drop was all on the mindset behind different programs and how many programs are out there. How do you choose the right one? What do they advertise for? How do you know what's right for you? So that's what this one was about. I'm going to open up these comments so I can make sure to see, but I also want to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to watch the latest video, and I'm going to drop the link here. But again, Discipline Diary is awesome, so if you have not seen it, I would love to see your questions or comments. Remember, these are always open Q&As with me, so please drop comments and questions as we go through. And if you're just hopping on now, this past week was all about the discipline of working out, how to make that a part of your everyday lifestyle. And that fitness, in my opinion, is the ultimate discipline multiplier, because if you can show up to work out, if you can show up to eat well, you can do anything, because you're proving that you can do something that you don't necessarily need to, right? Like, oh, I just go to the gym or I go on a run. I'm taking care of myself. If you're able to take care of yourself, wake up early or go after work or whatever it is, like, you are showing that you are disciplined. Easy as that. And what's up in the comments? But yes, feel free to drop your questions from this week. It was interesting. I did put the latest video in the comments right now. I'm curious what you think, because I did actually put out the pros and cons of different workouts. And as you can see, the title of this live is, how do you choose the best workout program, or what is the right one? And that is so up to interpretation, what you're trying to do. So if you've watched my videos, I talk about how I personally am doing a hybrid approach to fitness. So what does this mean? Combining cardiovascular endurance with heavy lifting, with aesthetics as well. So I'll still go in and do accessory movements. And we're talking glute kickbacks, or, talking different shoulder presses and raises, different things that work specific parts of my body. Because there's no reason why your goals can't be aesthetic. I want to be fast, but I want to be functional. I think that's incredibly important. And the first place to start, hello, I am good. Brother asked a very good question. I don't see a question on here yet, so if you meant to, please let me know and drop it in there. But the best place to start with let me rewind a little bit. That the best workout in the world is the one you're going to stick to, right? It's not specifically CrossFit. It's not specifically bodybuilding. It's not just some booty building plan you saw on some influencer's page. The best one is the one that you can personally commit to and that makes sense towards your own goals. Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to put on muscle mass? Things like that. You need to just know what your specific goals are so that you can make sure that any training is tailored towards that. All right, how do I forcefully throw up? What? Well, CrossFit will do that if it's your first time. So I'll try CrossFit if you want to throw up. Okay, so instead of wasting time, a lot of these programming out here and all these trainers and this, that, whether they have a certification or not, which you don't even need a certification to sell a program. So if that is of interest to you, I suggest getting some kind of certification, or, I'm not saying you have to go get a full-on degree, but know that you can get a cert and have a little bit of knowledge in your brain when you're training other people. So I would like to see some legitimate questions if there are any, but hey, everybody. Should I go for strength or speed for punching guys in the region best? Good Lord. What do you thought about CrossFit versus normal bodybuilding? So I did talk about this in my video today. But for the first question, I would definitely say speed probably matters most. Degree can, oh my God, I have no idea what that even means. Anyways, so Juliet likes you and your fake lips. Sick. Love to hear that. Thank you so much, Greenaway. Interesting. But thoughts on CrossFit versus normal bodybuilding. So they're two different elements, right? So when you look at CrossFit, that's endurance based, but it's also Olympic lifting, gymnastics. It's a combination of a lot of different things. And then on the other hand, you have bodybuilding, right? There's really no endurance base. They might be doing steady state cardio for long periods of time at the end of, or they're really close to their getting on the stage. They have to do a ton of cardio, lose everything they can, get all the water out of their body. But it doesn't mean they're fast. Okay, so I know when I did bodybuilding, and previously I was a runner, so going from that to being like super fit or whatever, and looking shredded and all that, but I knew I could not run. Like I could go on steady state cardio like Stairmaster for, it was like 80 minutes, 120 minutes sometimes near the end. It was awful. But I knew I couldn't just go on a 2, 3, 4 mile run like I used to. So my take on the differences is, what is your goal? To me, I want to be functional, which is why I'm going back to hybrid. What is up with this live stream? I feel like this is just a bunch of spam on here, but it's fine. It's getting me watch hours. So appreciate you guys and the haters in the comments saying some weird shit. My cat died. Oh my God, that's crazy. Anyways, the people who are legitimately here asking questions. I love CrossFit, but dang, Olympic lift at a high rate of speed is a bad idea, says my left shoulder. Yeah, so I had tendonitis multiple times in my shoulders doing CrossFit in college. And that could be, I'm going to say, a multitude of different things. I was brand new, so if people know my story, I talked about this last live stream, but I wasn't an athlete growing up. I did a lot of running sports. But the gym was a new thing to me. I thought the gym was specific for athletes, and athletes were like soccer, football, softball, baseball, those kind of things. That was my interpretation as a young child, is that the gym was for those people. When I realized I could get in the gym and train too, form wasn't always the first thing on my mind, because I learned by watching. I also learned by going to bodybuilding.com. That was my original source of information until I started going up to people at the gym and asking what they were doing. And then joined ROTC, and there was obviously some really fit people. So I would ask them like, hey, like, how do you tailor a program? So it started over a decade ago of me just learning. But if anybody remembers bodybuilding.com before you had to pay for it, that was like the ultimate source of information. You have the Chris Gethin's, like, 5 weeks to super shredded or whatever, to 4 weeks to this, 4 weeks to that. And everyone had their massive programs on there. And that was a big ordeal. But as far as, CrossFit in general, not everybody, I don't like to lump in like every person who does CrossFit sacrifices form, but there was an element of sacrificing form to make a time or to make a certain rep range. And I'm just not a big proponent of that. Again, not saying everyone does that, but there is a misconception, or, whatever. Because I got injured a lot from too many shoulder type things. I had tendonitis in both shoulders, absolutely painful. I've had them in my legs before. That's before I switched shoes over again. This is closer to 2 decades ago when I first started running ever. I didn't know that your shoes mattered. You learn so much over time. That's just when the parents had me wearing the cheap old Asics, like, or whatever the heck they were, super chunky, tendonitis in my leg. So Olympic lifting is great. I think any compound movement is absolutely critical if you're trying to build muscle and do some other things. But the rate of speed, it should just be accuracy. It should never just be like, I need to do this as fast as possible. That should never be the goal, in my opinion. Essentially, my helpful. Interesting. Another great question. I'm not a doctor, so I was the equipment manager. Sweet, pretty cool. That's a great take on it. It's hard to do those correct when pressing for time. Yeah, and but I know tons of people who have been doing CrossFit forever and ever and ever, and absolutely stand behind it. And I think it's a great sport. I think it's very great for a community as well. It's a very community-oriented activity. So if you're looking for that, I think that also matters. If you need accountability in the form of like a team, CrossFit is 100% like one of those great places. Usually it's a little bit more expensive than your typical gym membership. But again, you're buying a community, you're buying a very private feel. Usually it's very family friendly as well. So like having your kids run around, I'm just speaking from experience of different gyms I've been to. I just go to an old school gym right now, but I absolutely love it because it has everything that I need to do. Plus, there's a section for if you were to do CrossFit tight movements, to have more space. My favorite cartoon. I don't have a favorite cartoon. When I was a kid, maybe. I don't really watch that stuff anymore. I don't even know. I can't even think of one. I could say Doug. I really liked that show growing up. Rugrats, was a huge fan at one point. It's kind of weird now. If you watch cartoons, like the ones that you watch when you were a kid and watch them now, very, very weird. Rugrats was one of them. If you ever go back and watch Rugrats, disturbing. Very disturbing. And I'm just looking at the comments on this side. It's a little bit bigger than on this screen. Was I on steroids as an athlete? So PEDs. So I did dabble one time with PEDs. Absolutely did not like that, which is, again, I talk about this in the video. One of the cons of bodybuilding in a competitive space. So if you're just doing bodybuilding movements like traditionally, it's whatever. Those are great movements, right? Those are great workouts. They're very accessory, very, if you're looking to, aesthetics, if you're trying to build your aesthetics, you're going to do accessory work, and bodybuilding does a great job of that, as well as mix it with compound movements as well. You're working towards physique, like having a nice physique and shape to your body with bodybuilding. But if you're in the competitive space, it is almost certain that they will push that stuff on you, and I'm just like not about that. So it really depends on what you're comfortable with. Long-term effects, do your research. Know if you have a coach, they need to know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to PEDs, because there are cycles and there are things you need to be doing and where the source of those things. Am I a proponent? Like, nope, I don't ever suggest or prescribe or anything like that. I don't mess with that stuff. Again, why I'm hybrid. And thank you so much. But yes, what other questions we got? So again, this last video, which is up in the comments, from today, I did talk about some major forms of training. We talked a little bit about powerlifting. We talked about bodybuilding, CrossFit, hybrid training, and even marathon training. And then I kind of lumped some other ones, like everything else you see on the internet, right? Like every trainer that has a program. If someone has a good physique, they are capitalizing on selling you a program, okay? It's like, oh, she has great legs. Here's my freaking dumpster truck leg routine, even though it doesn't necessarily mean that's how they got it. There's food. There potentially might be PEDs, but I don't like to always say that. There's genetics as well, but you have to put in the work. There is no easy route, and it's the biggest thing. And again, please watch my video if you want to hear more of this, but I'll kind of put it in shorter terms right now, is that with training and programming, we buy into this stuff because we believe these influencers or online trainers have some piece of knowledge that we do not. That's the biggest thing why we purchase these things. That's why we buy anything, right? When it comes to programs, or like, oh, this person coaches coaches, or this person does digital marketing online. So if I buy their thing, I'm all of a sudden going to like somehow take a shortcut and be exactly where they're at. Like, no, it takes blood, sweat, and tears, my friends. And I just want that to be out there, but also choosing the right program for you. So let me just see really, sorry, I keep like messing with my hair because it's really hot outside today, and I was just outside and I'm like, it's all on my face. So are you a bodybuilder? No, I was one. I competed twice on a stage. That's what those trophies are from. Not like first place. It was like 2 third places. So, I mean, not really that big of a deal, but still very proud of that. And no, I have not read that. I don't even know what that means. And if I say it out loud, I feel like it's going to say something weird. So I'm just not going to. And don't eat during night. Yes, just stop eating sugar and oil food. Yeah, and that's really hard. So the biggest thing, hello, Rico from Finland. Awesome. Love that. Glad you're here. So the biggest thing with like eating sugar, and actually maybe our friend from Finland would know this too, or anyone outside of America, food is very different all over the place, right? And our food here, like if you go to Denmark, you go to France, you go to some of these other European countries, their food is so much better for you, and it has a shorter shelf life because they don't put as much crap into it as we do. When we say we, I mean, I don't propose for it. I really hope the food system changes. Like in the old movies where, milk actually like expired, and, so did bread actually molded after like however many days or a week. Now it's like sometimes I'll have some bread here. I do have a little child, so sometimes he wants to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but it'll take forever for it to mold. And that's a little concerning to me. That's because there's so much other stuff in our food. Why it's so important to eat healthy, but even when you have to like eat more or find supplements or take peptides or do something, because our food is just absolutely not equal anymore. Our soil is not as rich as it used to be, so you can imagine that the food growing from it isn't going to be as nutritious or nutritiously dense and diverse as it used to be. And I get so wound up about this, so that's why I just kind of went down that little rabbit hole. But when you said like drop sugar, absolutely, because sugar is already in everything. Did you know that a gallon of milk has sugar in it? Do you know bread has sugar? And it doesn't taste sugary, right? Like it doesn't taste like a chocolate bar. There can't be sugar. There's absolutely sugar in it. There's sugar in everything. And when a package says it has 0 sugar, like you're telling me an energy drink tastes like freaking cotton candy unicorn farts and there's no sugar in it? Like, that's fake news. I don't believe you. So there's others, I don't want to say secret or magical words, but if you really look at nutrition labels, start like Googling what some of that stuff is, and you will be surprised at some of the stuff that we're consuming and what we're putting into our bodies, and like wondering why we have all these problems. I'm actually getting my blood tested very soon to check everything out, and I'm excited to talk about that journey after I get my results back. Looking at peptides, but have been doing a lot of research on it, and I'm really interested to do it in real time. Be like, hey guys, this is week 1, and talk about everything, especially with blood. If you're not getting your blood drawn and seeing like how you are health wise on a regular basis, absolutely please do that. I'm talking a full blood panel. And again, this is just me going off in the weeds over here, but I think it's extremely important to get your blood work done. Figure out where all your levels are at before it's too late, right? We start doing it when things get too late, when real problems start to surface, and that's like not the time that we should be doing that. So for fat burn, you suggest cardio or heavy lifting? I suggest both. And when you say heavy, I just say resistance or strength training, which is with weights. Doesn't mean you need to be lifting like 200 pounds above your head. Like that doesn't make any sense as long as your reps are right and your weights, but always do some kind of like endurance cardio. I'm not saying has to even be like a run. It could be high interval training session. You could do like a 30-minute HIIT session where you do some kettlebells, maybe a short little jog sprint, and then maybe do some rope swings, like something where it's like a 30-minute window and you bust out a hardcore workout and you're sweating and you're feeling all the things, but that's your cardio. And then you do some kind of resistance training or strength training. That's for that muscle growth. And that's not to get yoked or jacked. It's because you're actually going to increase your metabolic rate, and that is how you burn more fat. So why not include the muscle building at the same time? You're not just going to wake up and you got these giant biceps. If that was the case, everyone would be yoked, and we wouldn't be working so hard and showing up for years and years to get giant biceps. There's so many Indians in U.S. Try checking with Indian foods. Pure and rich in protein and fiber. Good to know. Yeah, there's so many different diets out there and very different cultural foods that are just made so differently. And that is something that I definitely appreciate when it comes to food, because gosh, I feel like, I mean, I have so many friends from all over, and they talk about the food and they're just like, yo, what? My stomach is messed up. And I'm like, yeah, because you're not used to eating the stuff that we put into the food here. And it's absolutely crazy. Do some research, because I'm not like a professional in it. I just read enough to know that our food is just absolutely atrocious these days. So be very careful with it. And hello from Brazil. Intermittent fasting, absolutely nothing wrong with it. I did a lot more of it back in the days that I've tried keto. And I tell you, I've tried a lot of different things. I have. And for me, keto didn't necessarily work because my body responds really well to carbs, complex carbs, not like French fries and stuff. So it all depends. I live to live, not live to eat. Exactly. I love that, Jeff. Great freaking point. And that's so different. Some people depend on food. It's an emotional crutch, or it's a reaction to something, or you just get so used to it. The food also doesn't have enough nutrition in it, so it actually leaves us feeling more hungry after. So if you ever gone to like a McDonald's or something and just smashed like probably 5,000 calories worth of food and you're like, I'm still kind of hungry, or like you're full for a little bit and then all of a sudden you're hungry again, it's because your body is not able to use any of the things inside of whatever you just ate. But yeah, back to like intermittent fasting again, that is really entirely up to you. There are some people who will go 48 to 72 hours of just drinking like water, and then they'll break their fast with like a broth of some kind. It really depends on what you're willing to commit to. But I say everything that you're going to commit to, always take it in little chunks. So the first time, do like 8 hours. Or sometimes when you're sleeping, like I'll go like over 12 hours without eating in the morning, and then I'll, break my fast at like 10 or 11 o'clock with just drinking water in between or sleeping. I am a military veteran, and I was in the Army. I was a 13 Alpha, which is an artillery officer. So, yeah, it's a good time, good questions. That's why I look so good, just a fact. Well, that's awesome to know, Jeff. I don't know what that is, but I believe you. And it's just true. But a lot of people don't, and when I say a lot of people, that's just a phrase. I don't have like a statistic that I can pull out of thin air. But there's just a lack of education, but the education's out there. If you're on this live stream right now, that they can go to Google right now or any other platform of your choosing and figure out like anything that's like, how do I choose the best program for me? You can go to ChatGPT these days and be like, hey, here's a question about this. How's the healthiest way? What's the healthiest grocery store in whatever state you're in or town? I mean, there's so much information out there these days to live healthier. So I don't like the crutch excuse of like, I just don't know. But there is a lot of information out there, which is, again, where people are going to kind of get confused, because you have people on the internet saying, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. And then it changes every year, right? There's a new fad or a new diet or a new this or a new that. So it can be very overwhelming to make decisions when it comes to your health. But that's where you got to take control. And I just like to come out here and say, this is what I know, and I'm okay with saying this is my opinion, but please do your research. Please do your own research. Do not take my word as gospel or anyone else. Always, take and go, oh, that's really interesting. Let me look that up or whatever. But I'm a huge proponent of people living healthier lives longer, optimally, not depending on medications to survive, right? And because that's a whole nother conversation that I won't even get into, because I'm not trying to start anything here, but I don't ever want to just be taking medication regularly. That is a fear of mine, an absolute fear of mine. So that stems from like why I work out consistently, why I eat well 85 to 90% of the time, right? So, are you married? No. Not yet. I am seeing someone. So like I've been dating someone for a while. So that's a different thing, but not married, no. But anyways, so let's see. If there's any other questions, please feel free to drop them. If you did watch my video, let me know in the comments too. Like, did you watch the video today? What was the most interesting part? Or how do you train? How have you picked your training? Have you been training the exact same way forever? Have you changed it up like I have? I don't plan on changing after hybrid. I finally just kind of fell back into something that was already what I was doing in the military. If you think about it, military is in a sense, very much hybrid. You're running, you're sometimes lifting weights, you're climbing, ropes, walls, whatever, jumping. You have to be able to move fast and carry weight. So to me, hybrid was much more like being at home, and there's a lot of calisthenic work, and calisthenics are really cool. Calisthenics are so evolved too. You can be doing the handstand type stuff or, just different movements. But that's what I really liked about the military, and going back to more training like that has been awesome. I walk into the gym and leave it up to God. I love that, Ian. And I'm glad you're here, homie. But yes, that's so funny. I think having a plan is really important, but I also totally understand that it can be a very overwhelming place to be, especially if it's like, hey, you sit down, you're like, do I do splits? And when I say splits, I mean, not the actual splits. I mean, like, okay, I'm doing legs one day, upper body the next. And then let's say you have a really busy day. As creators or people who solely do things for clients, sometimes it's like, oh, like I don't have time to go to the gym today. I have 12 hours of footage to go through, or I have something to do, or whatever job you have. So now you feel like you're off schedule. So do you do the workout, the split like legs now, and then you have to push something else out of the way. So it gets very overwhelming in that aspect. And I think it'd be interesting to do even a video on that. But it really just comes down to knowing your schedule and time blocking. I've talked about this too, and I talk about it way too much probably. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. All my gym times are scheduled. There are going to be times when that is sacrificed, like when I have to fly somewhere and do something, or there's something at my son's school. Something's going to come up. That's just the nature of the beast and Murphy's law, right? Something's going to happen. So how do I make up for that? Sometimes it's me just going on a walk for like, if I have 20 minutes and that's all I have, I will go on a walk and like listen to a podcast that inspires me or learn something. So it just depends on how you're not going to let yourself fail. Make it impossible for yourself to fail and do something. Have a fallback. Hey, when something comes up and I can't get my workout in, I'm going to do 20 push-ups, a 20-minute walk, and 20 sit-ups. Like, just make a rule for yourself that make it almost, and sometimes if it's an excuse one, make it so you don't want to do the alternative. Like, I'm just going to go to the gym, or I'm going to go on the run I said I was going to go on, because I said if I don't do it, I'm going to do 50 burpees, and that to me right now, like, I don't even like want to think about that. So make it impossible for yourself to fail, and have almost like a punishment of some kind, and then have a reward for yourself, whether it's new shoes, maybe the gym membership you want, something when you achieve it, because now you're proving that you're disciplined, right? Like, you're building it. So hey, if I stick to this for 8 weeks, I am going to buy that awesome pair of Nikes I've always wanted, or whatever your motivation is or inspiration that's going to keep you going. Dangle the carrot in front of you, and then go ahead and achieve the thing that you want to do. But make it impossible for yourself to fail and set that standard. I started to do 30 dips and 40 push. Nice. How many subscribers do you think I'm going to get between? Dude, I don't care. Stroud cooking. What does that have to do with anything? You can go onto your own live stream and ask your audience that. Easy to do even with a busy day. Exactly. I think so too. And the thing is, like, some people want to do more. Like, to me, like, that's perfect. That's something, right? They say a rolling stone gathers no moss. So to me, I wanna just keep on rolling, just keep on rolling around. Reading. But yeah, I like that you have a rule for yourself though. And I know that you have a busy schedule because you talked on the last live about it as well, which is really awesome. Sorry, I'm just reading through. But who am I? Who are you, CR? My name is Alyssa, and it's on my page. How did you get here? I couldn't walk a year ago, now I run 3 miles. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's awesome. That's progress, and that's the little things in life. I'm telling you that there's so much amazing thing. When, you know what? It's when it's like I can't or I couldn't walk a year ago. That's another mindset piece to fitness and wellness, is like, I get to do this. Like, I get to go to the gym. I get to move my body. I get to eat like a healthy meal, because there's a lot of people out there that can't do these things, like physically cannot, or mentally, or whatever it is. They have an ailment or, something that happened that prevents them from doing the things that we take for granted. So anytime you go to the gym or go to that run or have to go on a walk and you're like, oh, just be like, I get to do this. And maybe that mindset shift will be enough to get you through it, or make it just a tad bit easier every time you show up and do that. So just think about it that way. But it's, I get to do this. I get to work out. I get to work on myself. I get to build the body of my dreams. I get to look great in the summer. Like, this is awesome. Like, I get to eat healthy. I get to drink fresh water, not from the tap, because that's disgusting. I used to do it as a kid though, so I don't know. Maybe it's messed my brain up. It's actually electrolytes too. I'm big on that. 6 months straight, diet in check, no cheat meals, 5 times a week gym. Results have been amazing. I love to hear that, Abdul. Awesome. In 6 months, that's a great point in your journey that is so important and underrated, is like that 6-month mark. That is, I hope you're rewarding yourself with something. Maybe it's a new pair of shoes or whatever, socks. I could barely walk up a hill first, then I started walking a mile, then 2, then I started running. That's how it went. That's incredible. And the fact that you even did that and didn't use it as an excuse to never run again, that's what I commend you for. Like, I give you flowers for that, man. Like, that's awesome. And you should be very, very proud of yourself. That is, like, seriously, that makes me almost like, oh, gives me a little bit of the chills, like when people do that for themselves. How much do I squat? I squat 205 pounds right now. And that's like I'll do reps of like 3 to 5. Like it's depending on the day. Anytime I go over 205, that's when my lower back starts to hurt. And I'm not a power lifter. I'm not someone trying to like, what's your PR? That's just how much I've been able to do. I was just curious, so I threw 205 on it because I warm up with 2 plates on. So 135 pounds is like nothing to me. But 205 is that point where it's like, my lower back's like, I don't know if I want to do this. That's when I start putting on the sleeves. I used to make fun of people with knee sleeves and belts and all kinds of things. And now I'm the one that is whipping up the knee sleeves. I am tightening that belt only when I get to like over the normal. I don't warm up with that stuff. Although knee sleeves, typically I will because my knees are um used to be better. They hurt and they squeak and they crack and they do all and they'll hurt. So I do take care of those. I'm getting old, I guess, whatever. But as far as like the belt, I don't put that on until I'm like really pushing some weight. But if I'm doing something like 205, I will definitely put all the gizmos and gadgets on to make sure that I stay somewhat, all in one piece and I'm not like Mr. Potato Head and everything starts popping off, like that's what I imagine would happen. So, but as far as like you asked me what I bench press, the bar. No, I'm just kidding. I could do a little bit more than that, but I hardly ever hit a chest day. And like wrapping that into our conversation, you don't have to do all these typical things. I used to hit chest really hard because I thought that was just like what you're supposed to do. And then I realized I'm like, I don't really care about that. I'll rip through some push-ups. To me, that makes sense. Sometimes I'll do champagne press. I'll still hit arms though, like tricep, bicep stuff, and shoulders. I love shoulder day. Other than quad centric, I love a good shoulder day. But like chest, you don't have to do stuff if you're not looking for that. If you want to be like well-rounded, yes, but as like a female, it's just not on the top of my priority list. Don't need that. So take everything with a grain of salt. Same with like deadlifts. For some reason, I'm just, I'll do like 135 pounds, maybe a little bit more. And I'm like, I don't really care about pulling 200, 300 pounds. It does nothing for me to have like a random PR. Squats seemed a little bit more personal because just whatever. As long as it's more than what I weigh, I'm impressed with myself. If you can push, pull, whatever, your own body weight, that is amazing. And again, my own opinion. There are going to be other people who think otherwise, but to me, that's a good place to start. It's like, how much do I weigh? Can I do a pull up with my body weight? Can I push my body weight? Can I squat my body weight? Can I pick up my body weight? If I can, doing good. Hello, how am I? I'm doing great. I use knee sleeves and weight belts to squat too, but it's necessary if I have a really bad knee injury. Yep, I feel that. Managing mod if someone's bothering me. As lovely as that is, I don't need it. I 100% just I think people don't realize, and once that people get to know me, from where I've worked, real life, all that good stuff, like I take everything with a grain of salt. There are gonna be trolls and haters. As soon as you start putting your stuff out there and yourself out there, there's gonna be a lot of people that are just weird and say like scroll through the comments. You want some entertainment. It started off a little weird. So, but yeah, just in case. Yeah, I don't need it though. Thanks. Um, yeah, no, I'm pretty chill. Like I will handle things as needed to. And if my feelings hurt really bad, I'll just leave, but my feelings they're intact as far as we can tell, unless someone wants to change that, and go ahead. We can do a different session, not this one, not the Q&A. We can do a roast me session some other time if that's really what you want. And that was a joke. I'm not trying to have my feelings hurt like that. I hope some of my friends are on here to laugh at me for that. But follow you on LinkedIn. How does this channel relate to your work? How does this channel? Can we get a fit check? Fit check is here. Here's my t-shirt. It says Tattooed and Successful. It's a company that I support because I know the guy who runs it. He's a pretty good dude. Liked and subbed. I appreciate you, JB. Roast coffee. I love coffee, period. All kinds of coffee. I do not discriminate. But I actually do pour over right now. I go through these phases of making coffee differently. So back in the day, I actually bought myself like a little espresso machine. It was like the Brev. How do I know? I've had it like since 2017. Brevo or whatever the heck it is. It's starting to need to be like calibrated, I think, because there's like a little dial that tells you like the perfect espresso mode. And I would do like little lattes and stuff with like coconut milk and everything. And I was like, oh, this is so great. But I just love a good pour over. I almost want to change to like French press or something else because after a while I just need to change. I just don't like regular pot coffee. I don't know why. I'm like, there's just something about it. It's not as good. I need to like make it differently. I don't know. I'm so weird when it comes to coffee, but I love it and I don't discriminate. It's amazing. And you follow me on LinkedIn. How does this channel relate to your work? So my work is this. I actually full-time create content, market, social media management for other people and myself. This is my personal channel, and I'm definitely allowed to have my own work that doesn't relate to other work. So I'm not really sure what that question means. My LinkedIn is more, professional, but I still talk about fitness on there. I still talk about mindset because that stuff's like what's important to me. That's my foundation, how I was built, and how I've been able to evolve into the person I am today is because of those tenets, like changing my life, taking control of my mind, because your mind is going to quit before your body does, but also my mind is something that had to change. My environment that I grew up in was, a place, I don't want to say it was super demoralizing and I grew up with like the worst people. Like that's not true. I love my family to death, but I never moved back there on purpose. My mind was just not what it is today. So, yeah, that's why I share this kind of stuff, because I was in a place at one point where there was no growth for me mentally, physically, anything. And then I stepped outside of it, joined the military. It showed me different places and people because it's a melting pot. Absolutely transformed the way I look at life, which is why I like sharing it as much as I can across as many platforms as I can, because it's been life-changing and letting people know that you can literally do anything. You just have to want it bad enough. So, coconut milk, never tried it. Yeah, I like coconut milk. The real stuff, but also you can try it with like, not saying it's not real, but the Silk brand makes coconut as well, like vanilla. That way it's not so coconutty, like it is, but it's got the vanilla to it and it's unsweetened. So I'll usually splash some of that in my coffee as well. Okay, that's what I mean. Seeing like your business related to fitness. Yeah, so I was actually an online fitness coach for a while. Actually up until, and I still, people ask and request, but there's just so much more I do on the content creator space and just video, photography, management, marketing that I love. And I've always wanted to lean more into the creative. I did do coaching for a while. I am a certified personal trainer. I also have a CPR license and all that good stuff, but who's asking? That's why I love talking about this stuff, because fitness is again my foundation and absolutely what I love. But it does link up. That's why a lot of my personal pages do talk about fitness. It's a lot of gym stuff. Even if you go to some of my other LinkedIn stuff, it's all fitness. I talk about how I'm an athlete. Again, I think it's just such a great part of my life, and I think it should be a little or a big part of everyone's life, because it's going to help us be optimal. Where do you train out of? A gym. That is as far as I'll go with that. Awesome. Love the mindset. Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you later. Thanks for tuning in. My tattoos, do they all have a story? No, not all of them. Not all of them. Some of them do, like Lady Liberty with We the People. Love that one. All my leg ones are pretty cool. They're just like a theme. My legs like all badass women type thing. If you ask that weird question again, I'm gonna delete you. Oh. All right, it's after hours where the weirdos are coming on here. But thanks for your questions. If you still have more, please drop them in the comments. This is going to stay public as always. But I appreciate you guys being on here. And yeah.